What are the Blazers expecting in terms of Melos on-court production once the season resumes?
Well, first of all, I have to agree with Melo. I've never been in a bubble before either, but here we all are. I'm still locked quarantining in my room. I've got one more day, Tony, one more day until freedom. And the Blazers have a pretty rosy outlook right now. Now, they do have the toughest schedule going into this restart of the teams that are competing for that 8th seed. But they do have now skinny Melo because they have Yusuf Nurkic and Zach Collins back from injury. They're going to move him to the 3, which is, of course, the small forward position he played back when he was with the Knicks. And he said it's actually a bit easier for him to play that way in the Blazers system, so it's good for his confidence. And because he's gotten leaner, he can move up and down the court, just move more freely in general. Now, he wouldn't give us the specifics of his slim down routine. We do know that he and CJ McCollum were taking socially distanced walks with their puppies together during the shutdown, so just put that in your mind. And we also know that whatever Melo's new diet is, it does still include wine. Melo is, of course, the NBA's most expert wine enthusiast. He actually has a wine podcast, Tony, that he's still doing from down here in the bubble. He just did an episode on Monday. And he also had a bunch of wine shipped to him, but he wasn't taking any chances. You know, when you you check your bags, but you take a little bit extra in your carry-on just to be sure. He brought 12 bottles with him by hand. Just in case, Tony, just in case.
We know where the fun's at there. All right, meanwhile, Rachel, the NBA told teams on Friday that voting for regular season awards will be completed before the season resumes on July 30th. Rachel, what do you make of this?
I think it's really interesting. I mean, first of all, I know a lot of people out there complain about the way the awards voting works. Of course, the media votes for the awards. And one of the complaints is that media gets too locked in on what happens in the first half of the season, and they don't give the guys the rest of the season to really prove their case. Well, in this case, what happened in the first 2/3 of the season? That is the whole voting. So we're not going to have the races develop that we expected. You have to remember, LeBron James was making that great late push right before the shutdown, had those fantastic games against the Clippers, against the Miami Bucks. And the Bucks one, of course, was so relevant because he was going head-to-head with Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was, is, and now will be the favorite to win MVP. That late push was expected to give LeBron a chance to win the MVP award that he felt he has deserved for several of the other seasons that he played so well. But Giannis had been spectacular this season, Tony, and I think those numbers are going to carry him through. The same can be said of John Morant, because obviously with Zion only playing 19 games before the shutdown, whatever noise he was going to make here in Orlando isn't going to count. Of course, he's left the campus because of a family emergency, but the idea that in those 8 games he could make a splash, that he could even push John Morant and the Grizzlies out of that 8th spot, the idea was, well, he hasn't played as many games, but if he actually took the playoff spot, it could make a difference. He won't have that chance either. So I think we're pretty set on a lot of what our awards voting and candidates are. It won't be a very exciting set of races this year, but hey, Tony, we know it's going to be quick. It's pretty much over.
Pretty much. It's going to be fun, too. Now, Rachel, we wanted to get your thoughts on this. Rockets head coach Mike D'Antoni said James Harden looked rusty for about 30 seconds after arriving in Orlando 5 days after the rest of the team. I mean, how are the Rockets approaching this restart?
They're really excited. They've been going with the small ball approach since the trade deadline. In fact, we all like to call it micro ball because it is so specific. They think that approach can help them. And the break certainly helped not only James Harden, who said that, it felt him like he was just right back at it, but guys like PJ Tucker, who were getting really beat up kind of through the season, especially once they switched to micro ball. His body got 4 months of rest. And it is particularly important with Harden because, as we know, he's seemed to run out of gas in the playoffs. And that's not an opinion. It's just the numbers. The numbers have gone down every year in the playoffs, which if you're a superstar and an MVP, not how you want him to go. I asked him yesterday if he felt like that 4 months of rest was going to make a difference. He's never had that before going into a playoffs. He said absolutely. He said his body feels incredible. And Tony, he's another one who dropped weight during the shutdown. You definitely get the impression from talking to guys like Melo, talking to guys like Harden, they kind of needed structure. They needed something to do. It was a time of year that they're normally peaking for the playoffs. So a lot of them poured their energy into staying in shape. And I think we're going to see the results here in these first 8 games. There should be some guys who are coming out of the gate hard, and we expect Harden to be one of those guys.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.